It's already raining across Bermuda well ahead of the storm, and the winds are starting to pick up. But the worst is going to be Friday night into early Saturday when the hurricane moves pretty much right over the island.
Bob Orvac, the lead forecaster with the National Weather Service.
Neso has continued to strengthen a little bit as it's moved northward through the western Atlantic. Wind speeds are up to 100 miles per hour. It's moving pretty steadily northeastward at about 13 miles per hour. The biggest impact looks like it's going to be for Bermuda.
Arizona, Nevada, and New Mexico will continue to live with less water next year from the Colorado River. That's happening after the U.S. government announcing Friday water cuts, preserving the status quo. Also at townhall.com, U.S. authorities arresting an illegal immigrant suspected in 24 murders.
Gianfranco Torres Navarro is the leader of the Peruvian gang Los Killers. He's wanted in Peru for the killings of 23 people, and Peruvian prosecutors say he's also known in Peru as Gianfranco 23 or Gianfranco 23. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement arrested him Thursday in Endicott, New York. Authorities say the 38-year-old entered the U.S. illegally at the Texas-Mexico border on May 16th. He was arrested the same day and given a notice to appear for immigration proceedings. Authorities moved to arrest Torres Navarro after receiving information that he's wanted in Peru. I'm Donna Warder.
In New Zealand, police retrieving small packages of methamphetamine wrapped as candy and unknowingly distributed through a food bank in Auckland. Authorities still investigating the matter and say no arrests have been made as yet. A spokesman says, fortunately, so far no one has become sick. More on these stories at townhall.com.
This is a consumer alert to all U.S. taxpayers who owe the IRS back taxes or have unfiled tax returns. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, you can now take advantage of active programs that provide relief to struggling taxpayers and may reduce or eliminate what you owe if you qualify. Even if you are facing liens, levies, audits, wage garnishment, or already in a payment plan, call the Easy Tax Relief Helpline now to check what savings you may qualify for at 800-535-7128. You may qualify to reduce up to 99% of what you owe or for other special programs. Once qualified and enrolled, you can rest assured that your assets are protected and all collection efforts will be stopped. Billions of dollars in savings are available through these relief programs for struggling taxpayers, but you must call to see if you qualify. To see what savings you qualify for, call 800-535-7128. 800-535-7128. That's 800-535-7128.
A Detroit judge sidelined for ordering a teenager into jail clothes and handcuffs while she was on a field trip to his courtroom.
The chief judge of the 36th District Court says Judge Kenneth King will undergo what he calls necessary training. The 15-year-old fell asleep in King's courtroom during a visit organized by a nonprofit group she volunteers for. King said the girl's attitude led to the jail garb, the handcuffs, and a stern lecture. The girl's mother calls the judge a big bully, says the girl was sleepy because the family doesn't have a permanent home. Rich Thomason reporting.
North Carolina officials say a prisoner serving a life sentence for murder who escaped from a transport van this week has now been captured at a hotel. Authorities say 30-year-old Ramon Alston escaped from the van as it had arrived at a hospital in Hillsborough. Breaking news and analysis, townhall.com.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Some passing clouds tonight to go with a low temperature of 71. Tomorrow, we're mostly sunny early on with a 30% chance of showers later in the evening. The high is 93. Sunday, nice early. Some storms later on, though. That could include some serious wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour. We'll have some thunder and lightning to go with it. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. Come on, hit it. Do it. You know you want to.
Great things don't happen all at once. Big dreams take time. And when it comes to saving for college, it's those small steps that make a difference. I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, is designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
And a good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network on a beautiful, warm but beautiful Friday afternoon in the good old Palmetto State. So happy you're with us. Phil Kornblut, Josh Cohen from our studios in Columbia, Chris Bergen from the Bergie Palace over in Sardis. Great way to cap the week by spending a couple of hours with your best sports buddies here on Sports Talk. Then again, you don't have to stop with that. You can always go and get our streams, our recorded streams, and play it on a loop, and you can listen to us 24 hours a day if you want to torture yourself that way. Always available. Of course, if you miss a show, everything's available in a podcast form, plus the full show's available on X and on YouTube. We stream on X, we stream on YouTube, we stream on Facebook, we stream on the Chief Sports app. If you can't find us over the air, one of our great radio stations around South Carolina, that's how you can keep up with us. Or if you happen to leave the area, leave the state, leave the country, you can find us that way as well. Big Friday night show for you as we go into the weekend, the last Friday night without high school league football. We've got Skeeza football tonight. The Skeeza kids are doing week 0 tonight. High school league begins
week 1.
Next week. They call it week 0.
It's week 1.
But
week
if you
0
call it
impossible.
week 1, listen, I'm with you. But I mean, it gets confusing if you call it week 1 when they're
why
calling
it gets
it week
confusing?
0.
Because week 0 is impossible. So the high school league has tried to perpetrate this on us, and you can't have a week. It's like giving 115%. It's impossible. The most you can possibly physically give is 100%.
Skeeza's doing it too.
You cannot play a game in week 0.
And they're
It's
supposed to
impossible.
be the smart people. Skeeza's doing it too. So I mean, come
and
on.
college football, they're trying to label next weekend, Georgia Tech and Florida State as a week 0 game.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
You cannot play on a 0.
I agree with you, man. I don't understand who came up or why they came up with this week 0 crap, but that is what it is. And so we got some games tonight. David Shelton's going to be here at 6:35 to break down what he's been hearing from camps around the state, kind of set the scene for next week's opening games, talk a little Skeeza football tonight as well. I bet you're headed out if you're a fan of a Skeeza team for one reason or another. You're probably headed out right now to a stadium. It's going to be warm out there. In fact, I saw where something next week, a high school game next week. I have to go back and pull this up. They've already, I know what it was. The bad boy
West
sent
and
me a
South
text.
over here. Yeah.
Yeah,
West
yeah.
and South here.
The bad boy, Alan Smothers, bad boy, what you gonna do? He sent us a text saying that they've already delayed a week in advance. They're delaying or pushing back, I guess it's better to say, the kickoff time for the game between South Florence and West Florence. They're playing in week 1
Yes.
or week
And
0,
my
whatever it
guess
is next
is-
week. They're
my
going to push
guess
it back
is-
to 8 o'clock because of the WBGT heat humidity expectations.
The wet bulb thermometer.
Ah, okay.
My guess is that may have something to do with it, Phil. Also, the fact that it's a Friday, it's West and South. They're expecting a gigantic crowd. The reason they are playing the first week of the season as opposed to the last week of the season, which they've done forever, West has moved up to Class 5A. South Florence is still 4A. So at the end of the season, they'd be running into region games. So they've had to figure a way to move that big rivalry game. My guess is it's as much to try and get as many people to the game if they kick off at 8 o'clock as opposed to 7:30. There's no way they can predict 8 days out that it's going to be 105 degrees with the heat index.
Well, now
next week.
hang on, Kimosabe. I happen to have a paid-for app on my phone, and that app will give you a 45-day forecast. Okay. So we're talking the 23rd, August 23rd. Now,
Correct.
this is the Columbia area forecast. 93, high of 93, clouds and sun in the evening. Back it up a second. Is that Friday or Saturday? This would be, I back that up, 84 degrees. Mostly cloudy, 84 degrees, and in the evening, 64 degrees. And we're talking about wind gusts of 18.5 miles an hour, a wind of 7 miles an hour, and 5% chance of rain, but 85% cloud cover. That's for next Friday, according to my paid-for app.
Okay.
And I say paid-for app because, I mean, a paid-for app is
It
certainly
should be
more
better than a free
trustworthy
one,
than a
right?
freebie, right? I can tell you 45 days from now what the weather's going to be.
Excellent.
If you're interested.
Excellent.
So, yeah, but you got to take all your precautions. If you think it's going to
sure.
be bad, you got to take precautions. Number one, for the players and the coaches, and then you want to make it as comfortable as possible for the fans as well. Because, like you said, you do want to have a big crowd come out for that game. It's a big rivalry game.
Absolutely. And if the situation that is currently here in Florence, hopefully improving, continues into next week, they may need extra time to get enough water out there. We've had low water pressure here in the city all day today, which has been fun to deal with. Fortunately, I don't work outside.
What's caused the problem?
I don't know. I just saw a report because when I got home around lunchtime today, I went to wash my hands and I was like, that's not normal. So I ran around the house to see if I had anything running, water spigots running that shouldn't be. And then I logged online and saw that there was a report from the ABC affiliate that several of their viewers had called in complaining about the lack of water pressure here in the city. And the city actually was working on it and was scheduled to let us know sometime later on. We may have one of those fun boil water advisories too, which everybody loves.
Or maybe if you pay your bill on time, they won't cut back on the pressure. Have you thought about that?
That would be a big help. But that's on the city as much as it is on my wife and I, because we have it automatically drafted. So if they forgot to pull it out of our account, I'm not going to feel responsible.
That's not on you.
No.
That is not on you. Okay, our phone number, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery Lucky number. Coming up, David Shelton, as I mentioned. Also a visit from Jeff Owens. I'm sure he's got a lot to share with us, a lot to talk about from last weekend at Richmond, and looking ahead to Michigan this weekend. So we'll catch up on NASCAR. 7:35. George Bryan will be here. Birdies, bogeys, and biceps. Our special guest will be state amateur champ Zach Adams, who plays his golf collegiately at South Carolina and just played in the U.S. Amateur, where he reached the round of 32. So looking forward to talking with him about his championship here and his summer exploits on the links and getting ready to play for a new coach at South Carolina. So we got all that coming your way tonight here on Sports Talk, plus some recruiting information as well, as Clemson has offered another quarterback in the 26 class, and South Carolina has offered a junior college defensive tackle. Tell you all about that coming up in recruiting. Let's give you a few of the other top stories today. Pretty quiet day as far as I can tell, coming out of the camps at USC and Clemson. South Carolina getting ready for a big scrimmage tomorrow for them, their last scrimmage of the fall camp, and going to try and settle, I guess, whatever position battles have been going on, Chris. I guess this will be the last great opportunity. For example, if there is a battle going on at quarterback, this will be an opportunity to kind of sort that out. If there is a battle going on some offensive line positions, certainly there's a battle going on at wide receiver with so many new people there.
Backup running back. Defense, again, maybe defensive end, guys moving in and out. Interior line appears to be pretty set. Well, one corner spot. Right. Both safeties appear set. Place kicking probably still open at this point. So a lot of things for the Gamecocks to resolve. Clemson practiced today, and no media. They'll be off tomorrow, coming back on Sunday, getting ready for Georgia. Speaking of Georgia, saw a story on the Bulldogs talking about their camp, and
what's been going on there. They've had one injury issue of major concern for them on their offensive line is at the center position. Their starting center is out and may not be ready for Clemson. But they're so deep on their offensive line, according to this story, they're able to flip-flop somebody in there to keep them sound on the offensive line. Apparently, this Georgia offensive line appears to be as good as they have been in recent years, Chris. That battle up front in 2 weeks, that in the trenches, that might be worth just watching. Forget about following the football. Follow what's going on in the trenches because you got some real big dogs on the Clemson defensive line and some real big dogs on that Georgia offensive line.
One thing I've always been a little leery of, disappointed is not the word because I enjoy calling games, but for basketball in particular, I don't get to watch the game. As a play-by-play announcer, you have to follow the basketball, and the game's not played on the basketball. It's played away from the basketball. Same thing here. You're sitting there watching, everybody gets caught up watching the football, but I think you're right? Watch the lines of scrimmage. And maybe I misunderstood, but I thought during SEC media days that Kirby Smart made the comment about his line and didn't expect, he said that he didn't believe they had the depth they normally do. Was that, Coach, as a friend of mine says, Coach word salad?
Yeah, well, I'm, this story written by the Georgia site Dogs 247, and so Jared Wilson is the starting center. He's got Achilles tendonitis, so they've taken right guard Tate Ratledge and moved him in as Wilson works his way back. So maybe Wilson will be ready, maybe he won't. Micah Morris is a swing guard, so he can play either guard spot, so he's filled in where Ratledge was. And Ratledge, of course, he began taking some center snaps in the offseason with the departure of Cedric Van Pran to the NFL. Ernest Green is locked in there at left tackle. He's a big guy. They returned 4 of their 5 starters from last year in Ratledge and Green, and their left guard Dylan Fairchild, and their right tackle Xavier Truss. Also, Monroe Freeling out of Somerville is factoring in depth-wise on their offensive line.
Seem pretty solid, don't they?
They do. They do seem solid. I mean, there's just no drop-off with Georgia right now.
But you are right. That push that Peter Woods and those guys up front for Clemson, how much will they get against that Georgia offensive line? I think maybe one of the fascinating position battles to watch throughout that game.
Absolutely. Back on this story, we talked about it a good bit yesterday and, kind of had some fun with it and analyzed it a little bit. This Josh Petty, offensive lineman who committed to Georgia Tech, and is going to make $800,000 a year in a 3-year roster value deal with Tech. This is being reported by Pete Nakos, or was reported. And I went back and looked. The On3 database, they have a database of all FBS coaches' salaries in 2023. That's not just head coaches. That's position coaches by school. It's an excellent database. So I went and looked. This kid, Josh Petty, with that deal, he'll make, based on the 23 database, he'll make more money than every coach on the Tech staff other than head coach Brent Key. There's not a single assistant coach, unless, there've been some raises that were not recorded in this database. So, I'm just going by what's in this database. He'll make more money than every assistant coach on the staff. He'll make more money than the guy who'll be coaching him, the position coach. I mean, is that going to be awkward at all?
On the surface, you would think it probably would, but it seems to work in the NFL. I mean, the players in the NFL get paid a whole lot more than the coaches do for the most part. But, yeah, that is a bit unusual. And how many other places is that happening? I mean, Jalen Rashada.
I would guess Ohio State. They've got a $20 million.
Except for Ryan Day.
And they're not hiding it. They're paying $20 million for their roster.
Mm-hmm. How about Tennessee and their quarterback position?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're right. You make a good point. Again, I guess some of us are having a hard time assimilating college football with the NFL, thinking they're one and the same now, And the fact that you're right, in the NFL, players make more than their coaches do across the board. I mean, let's face it, across the board, they pretty much make more than their coaches do. Just having a hard time getting used to that on the college level. Couple
No
of
doubt.
other
It's
things.
unusual.
Couple of other things. South Carolina today announced their non-conference men's basketball schedule. It's a pretty good one, I think. I mean, it's got a nice mixture of wins and challenges. They'll open up at home November 4th against North Florida. 4 days later, they play South Carolina State. November 4th. Is that like really early? Seems like basketball just comes earlier and earlier.
Yeah, they get that first week in November, and it's bam, let's go play.
Really? November 8th
they've been
is
practicing since the end of March and April, so
Really?
might as well. They're ready.
November 8th is South Carolina State at home. November 12th is Towson at home. Then they go to Indiana, November 16th. They'll host Mercer, November 21. November 25th, they play Xavier, their one-time possible coach.
Yeah.
Sean
Who made
Miller.
the right decision?
Sean Miller.
We'll find out in that game.
This is the Fort Myers tip-off, 8:30 on FS1. 2 days later, they'll play either Michigan or Virginia Tech. So those are two good matchups. And then they play Boston College up there, SEC ACC Challenge on December 3rd. So really, that's a stretch of 4 games in 5, Mercer being the 5th, 4 games in 5 where you're playing high-level competition. And then East Carolina in Columbia, December 7th. A week later, upstate, and then the Clemson game in Columbia, December 17th. Radford at home, December 22nd, and Presbyterian at home on December 30th. So except for that game at BC, all of December, 5 games in December will be in Columbia. Their SEC opponents were announced earlier with no dates. Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn, Florida, Georgia, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Texas A&M. Those are home games. Then at Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, LSU, Mississippi State, Missouri, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt. How many wins you got for them?
Game.
How many you got for them? They win 20?
Wow.
Think they win 20 again?
I don't think there's any reason to believe they shouldn't.
Yeah. I agree with you.
I think Lamont Paris has got the program heading in the right direction, and I like the non-conference schedule. I think you brought up a great point. There are some very good challenges on there. Certainly Michigan. You would hope they'll get Michigan, not Virginia Tech, since they played them last year. So maybe just a little bit of unusual setup. And going to Indiana is going to be a lot of fun, I would think, for the team. And then, of course, Clemson coming off a run to the Elite Eight. I mean, there's some very good challenges in there. And then some games they should win. I don't know fairly handily, but they should not sweat as much as some of those ball games. And it's interesting they moved the Clemson game again about 10 days later this year than it was this past year, because they played it, you remember, right around the championship games of college football last year. It's on the 6th of December. Now you bumped it back to the middle of December, and the concern you worry about is when does school end and how many students will be there for that game on a Tuesday.
Well, school be out. They'll be gone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I like, Tuesday night, I like that. That's cool. I can get to go to that game. I'll be around for that. Mark Etheridge is he Baseball America? Let's see. What is Mark Etheridge? Is he Baseball America? Anyway, Hoover gets an extension with the SEC for the baseball tournament. City Council slated to vote on Monday on a 4-year extension through 2028. And no, he's D1 baseball. I'm sorry, D1 baseball. So Hoover will continue to be the home of the SEC baseball tournament, as it should.
I don't know why they need a contract. It's fairly obvious the SEC has no interest in moving that tournament from there.
I guess the city
sort of
has
like
to do it.
Omaha.
You got city
Omaha have the
services
contract?
involved. You got city services involved, city employees.
Right.
You probably have to, do that. And to wrap up our poll question of the week, presented by Larry Lucas State Farm Insurance in Columbia. Give Larry and the staff a phone call and let them work with you for the best for your insurance protection. 803-799-1998. 803-799-1998. The question was, what's impressed you the most about the Gamecocks preseason camp from what you've seen, heard, or read? 44% point out the overall play of the defense. So the Gamecock fans who voted here have a good feeling about their defense. 30% cite overall offensive line improvement. 19% wide receiver development, and 6.6% quarterback play. Interesting. Quarterback play at the bottom of the list and the defense at the top of the list. A reminder, we'll have coverage for you on our website and on Twitter, SportsTalkSC.com, and on Twitter at SportsTalkSC of Shane Beamer tomorrow. It will not happen before 6 o'clock. They're having a late afternoon scrimmage. Press conference afterwards will not start before 6 o'clock, so be looking for it sometime after 6. We'll have that covered for you tomorrow night.
Is that to get them ready, you think, for their season opener, which kicks off at, like 4:15?
Probably
against
so.
ODU?
Probably
Yep.
so, I would guess. Okay, we can take some phone calls. Phone number 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery, lucky number for you here on Sports Talk. Josh has got you lined up. We go to Gamecock Larry. Leading things off tonight on a Friday, heading into a wild and wonderful weekend. Larry, welcome in. How are you?
I'm okay.
Good.
14 days for kickoff. 12 days for the standards come out of the Clemson. Is going to look mighty good. Clemson 0-1, Gamecocks 1-0. Talking about the basketball team, I don't know how many games they play, but I'll say they're going to win 27 games. 27 and one. Yes, sir. 27 games, and I don't know how many they got. If they got more than 32, they're going to win 28.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That sounds like a winner, don't it?
My parents have signed up for that right now.
Boy, I'm sitting back here just listening to you all. I say, you all make my day, and I really appreciate it. I can't do nothing, Lord. Can't do one single thing for myself, so they say. But everything's going to be all right. And I'm going to, let me see, I got to say, Tiger Blind, I had heard from you later. They got me in the living room, and I can't get you on my radio, so I got to listen on the radio as long as they leave me on. But Tiger Blind, I miss you, buddy. I still love you. I love everybody. Go Gamecocks. Talk to you later, Mr. Field.
Thank you, Larry.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, very much.
You have a great weekend. Feel better. Continue to feel good. And we'll look for your call at about 6:25 Monday night. Let's go to Todd up in Woodruff. Todd, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
I'm doing great, gentlemen. Phil, I wanted to know if you could ask the gentleman that you're going to have on next, David Shelton, who his top 5 teams were. I listened to him last week. He never did mention his top 5 and 5A this year, preseason. And the second part to that is, who does he think will be the 2 teams to come out of the Low Country if all stays healthy?
All right, you want to know his top 5 and 5A and the top 2 who will come out of the Low Country?
In 5A.
In 5A,
right.
Okay. I will ask him that.
All right.
He's coming up shortly. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We do have skis games tonight. Here are a few on the schedule. Porter Gaud, I'm doing this because I'm trying to get into practice for next week's scoreboard. Porter Gaud at Hilton Head Christian, Northwood Academy at Strong Rock Christian, Cannon School at Cardinal Newman, John Paul II at Colleton Prep, Greenwood Christian at Northside Christian, Spartanburg Christian at Lee Academy, Andrew Jackson Academy at Faith Christian. You'll be disappointed to know this, Chris. You'll be very disappointed.
What's that?
There are no 8-man games tonight in week 0.
I am disappointed about that. I love 8-man football. It's a lot of fun.
8-man games tonight. They pick it up next week. We'll hit the break. David Shelton coming up.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Some passing clouds tonight to go with a low temperature of 71. Tomorrow, we're mostly sunny early on with a 30% chance of showers later in the evening. The high is 93. Sunday, nice early. Some storms later on, though. That could include some serious wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour. We'll have some thunder and lightning to go with it. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your on-point local weather.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
With SRN News, I'm Jason Walker. Many people in California say it is too little, too late. But Governor Gavin Newsom has signed a package of some 10 measures aiming to crack down on those smash and grab robberies and property crimes, making it easier to go after repeat shoplifters and auto thieves and increasing penalties for those running professional reselling schemes. Hurricane Ernesto charging toward Bermuda at this hour. Officials preparing to open shelters. Category 2 storm, maximum sustained winds of 100 miles per hour and likely to strengthen before it hits Bermuda early Saturday. And Nevada gaming regulators have accused a casino of turning a blind eye to illegal bookmaking. One apparently approved millions of dollars in credits to people involved in illegal dealings. This is SRN News.
I was thinking about the things that matter to me when it comes to calling the plumber. First, most of us call the plumber out of a need, often a crisis. So you want reliability. Then, we're in a vulnerable place already, so you want someone you can trust, someone who will be fair in their pricing and handle things professionally. These are some of the reasons I feel comfortable recommending Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. See, they've been out to my home. They've been out to my brother, too. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning did such a great job. And you know, maybe this might not matter as much to some people, but they're locally owned. A lot of these plumbing companies you've heard of used to be local, and now they're owned by big national or even international conglomerates. Working with a locally owned company matters. It keeps your pricing down, and the money stays local here in the community. Josh and his team at Franklin makes customer service their top priority. I trust them. You can too, especially during these vulnerable times. Online, it's franklinplumbing.sc.com or call them 799-2222. That's 799-2222.
Hey Columbia, did you know there's a beautiful sporting clays course, rifle range, and 200-person event center just 30 minutes from downtown? The Palmetto State Armor Range in Swansea, South Carolina has everything you need to prepare for this upcoming hunting season, from sighting in your rifle to knocking off the rust on your shotgun. Are you looking for somewhere to host an event or fundraiser? We have everything you need to make your outing one they won't forget. Come check us out at 1201 Redmond Mill Road in Swansea, South Carolina. Find us at facebook.com/PSA Outdoor. That's facebook.com/PSA Outdoor.
Excuse me, can I interest you in an easy way to reduce your energy usage and save money at home?
Yeah.
Did you know Dominion Energy has an online store?
No. Where is this online store?
Online at EnergyWiseShop.com.
What's in it for me?
Huge discounts off Energy Star certified smart thermostats, advanced power strips.
Any hidden fees?
No. And you get free shipping with qualified orders.
I see EnergyWiseShop.com in my future. Thanks for the tip.
Certain restrictions apply.
As we celebrate 10 fantastic years at Sweet Comfort Services, we're cooling you off with unbeatable deals on all SEER 2 and high-efficiency AC equipment. Hey Point family, mention this ad and get a thorough spring maintenance check from our expert non-commissioned techs for just $95 for your first system and a chill $45 each additional system. Look us up at sweethvac.com or call us at 331-8143. Celebrating a decade of keeping you cool and comfy. That's the Sweet Comfort promise.
Great things don't happen all at once. Big dreams take time. And when it comes to saving for college, it's those small steps that make a difference. I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. $50, South Carolina's 5 to 9 college savings plan is designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
Meet me at the London. If you find time, we can run one. Talk about some things we can undo. We just the pen, I can find you. 6'1" on the money, 9'2". You just say the word and I run through. 2 texts, no reply, that's when I knew. Yeah, I knew.
All right, who tapped into my playlist for our bumper music?
I was hoping we had the song, Josh, like It's Friday, It's Friday. Get us all hyped up for the weekend.
I think that's coming.
It's coming
up. It's coming up.
He's not going to disappoint us. That's coming up. David Shelton coming up in just a moment. You know, while it's a Friday and the weather is beautiful in South Carolina and we missed another storm, I hate it for Bermuda. You're going to take a direct hit from Ernesto. But it missed South Carolina except for some tidal activity. But it's a beautiful time to get down to the beach and enjoy yourself for a late summer vacation. Maybe you want to make plans for an early fall vacation. Maybe you want to buy some property at the beach. Make sure you call our man, Jimmy Smith, at pauliesvacationrentals.com. James Smith Real Estate. That number is 843-237-4246.
pauliesvacationrentals.com.
Excuse me.
Well done, Josh.
Or you can get them online at Paulie's Vacation Rentals. That sounds like I need a vacation. pauliesvacationrentals.com. Jump in, Chris, and talk about Jimmy Smith.
Jimmy Smith is awesome, and I know the summer season is about to end, but the best time to go down to the beach is September, October, and then really kind of early in November. May not want to get into the ocean in November, but at least in September, the water's still nice, and a lot of tourists have headed back home. So there are openings, rentals, and certainly while you're down there, why not take a peek at potential real estate buys along the Grand Strand? James Smith Realty, the place to go, and as Phil likes to say, Jimmy is the man. So you get in touch with him at James Smith Realty down in Pawleys Island and along the Grand Strand. They will hook you up. And don't waste. And if you're looking for next year, it's never too early.
That's true.
Because it books out in a hurry. So if you want to go to the Grand Strand, you make sure you get in touch with Jimmy as quickly as you can.
That phone number again is 843-237-4246. Okay, time to talk high school football here on Sports Talk with our main man. We call him Bib for Best in Business, David Shelton of the Charleston Post and Courier and the High School Sports Report. And, of course, here on Sports Talk, he'll be with me starting next Friday night for another season of the High School Football Scoreboard. Can't believe it's time for that. David, welcome in. Hope you're getting your rest, eating your Wheaties, drinking your vitamin juice, and getting ready for next week.
Not getting much rest, but, and I don't eat Wheaties, so we're just doing the best we can. It's cranked up. You know, when the coaches and the teams start preparing, that's pretty busy time for guys like me. So getting together, writing stuff, and getting ready. I'm going to a jamboree tonight.
Before we talk about that and what's ahead, tell us about your event last week, the jamboree you had for your organization, which we'll tell people about throughout the football season because they should know about it because you are on the forefront of the battle of educating people. One team, one cause. From what I read, what you tweeted, sounded like you had a big event, a big crowd for your jamboree last week.
Yeah, we were very pleased. One team, one cause, and Wake Up Carolina, we combined as partners to put this jamboree on, and we had the largest crowd that we've had in 3 years, and we had a lot of high school students that were there, which is good because those are the kids we're trying to affect with all of our messaging that we have and all of our stuff that we hand out. But it was a great event. It was a great night for football. You know, it was that end of that bad week, you know, where we had all the flooding and all that. And I think people were just ready to get out and watch some football and do something. And, you know, we were worried about a storm. We were worried a little bit about rain coming. It had some stuff on the radar, but my two boys took care of that, and they blowed that thing right on out, and we ended up having a great night.
Well, you referenced your two boys. people who haven't listened to you before might not be sure what you're talking about and what one team and one cause is all about. You want to give us just a quick history of, unfortunately, why you got involved in this?
Sure. Yes, I've had two sons, Ryan in 2014 and Justin in 2022. Both died of drug overdoses. Justin in 22 died of fentanyl poisoning, which really awoke my awareness to the dangers of fentanyl. And so I created One Team, One Cause to, as a play of, because I've spent 35 years in the sports business, covering teams, and I tried to focus that we're all on one team, and our one cause should be to protect and to love each other and to make sure that this stuff doesn't happen. So I've begun in 22. I started speaking at schools, athletic teams, entire schools, whatever, in churches, wherever, just to kind of warn the kids what's out there and stuff they don't know. And it's really, it's become a labor of love, and it's something that I will do for as long as I'm healthy and able to do.
Well, we salute you, as you know.
Indeed.
We honor you. We honor you because it's an unbelievable message that you're putting out there. So I cringe every day when I hear stories about fentanyl and deaths and things like that. So keep up the good fight, man. And thank you for being with us once again. We can't tell you how much we appreciate you. We certainly don't pay you enough, but we do appreciate you, as you will no doubt complain about come October. Before we do anything else, we had a caller up in Woodruff. He wanted your top 5 in 5A for this year, your top 5 in 5A, and also who you think will be the top 2 teams coming out of the Low Country 5A. You got that in your head?
The top 5 in 5A, the media poll just came out, I think last Monday or Tuesday. And I think, if I can recall, I had in my top 5, Gaffney, Dutch Fork, Somerville, Northwestern, and I want to say, I can't remember. It might have been White Knoll, but there's a good group of, could have been Teohana, very good group of 5A schools, as we talked about last week, we'll have 2 champions. So, it was Irmo. Irmo was number 5 on my list.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be a Division II team. They're actually, I think they're going to play Somerville tonight in the Dorchester Jamboree, which is where I'm headed. I'm hoping that schedule's right, but it says Irmo Somerville. But in the Low Country, I think clearly Somerville's the best 5A team, and then there are a couple that are pretty close. Berkeley's got a chance to be a much improved team with a really good quarterback and really good receivers. If they show up some improvement defensively, I think they're going to put themselves in the hunt. Goose Creek, same thing. If they can improve defensively, they're going to score points. But they've got to figure out some things defensively. James Island's going to be new to 5A, and they won't have a problem on defense because they're pretty stacked on that side of the ball. But they got to replace a quarterback and receivers. So I would say those 3. Lucy Beckham will wait and see. Ashley Ridge, kind of wait and see. But so I would say what we have Somerville and the rest, and I think there are some potential good teams. We'll just have to see how the season plays out.
Mm-hmm.
Talking high school football with David Shelton here tonight. Don't forget, next week, the High School Scoreboard Show makes its triumphant return here on the Sports Talk Media Network just after 10 o'clock every Friday night up until state championship weekend. And, David, one thing that has been sort of a November tradition here in the city of Florence was West and South Florence playing the city battle. Of course, they also meet Wilson as the regular season unfolds. But this year, that game has been moved up to next week because of West moving up to 5A and South staying 4A. I remember in years past up in Anderson, Teohana, and Westside used to play at the beginning of the season and also play at the end of the season. Does it take a little bit away, though, from a rivalry game like that to have it as week 1 as opposed to week 10?
I kind of think a rivalry game could be played at any point. But I think it does help sometimes to have it early. The season opener against the team that you hate the most, that'll get a lot of people excited really early for football. But I think traditionally most of the rivalries are at the end of the year. But I don't really. A rivalry is a rivalry, and I've been asked this question about the Citadel and Charleston Southern. I know it's not high school, but they're playing in the season opener, but that's a rivalry that's just kind of beginning. And I asked the coach at CSU, and he's like, "Hey, they're our rival. We don't care when we play them." So I think in high school, traditionally, Berkeley Somerville was always at the end of the year. Now they play, I think, week 2 or 3 because they're in different conferences now. And I think what you're going to have is because they're in different conferences and now different classifications. If you're going to play your rival, you're going to have to play them early because that the back end of that schedule is loaded with conference games.
This may be about as difficult as our caller asking you who you believe are the best 5A teams in the state. But as we get ready to open up a brand new season, subject will initially start and then certainly pick up speed as the season moves along towards Mr. Football. As you look at some of the individual players around the state, I mean, who are the guys to keep an eye on? Say like Cutter Woods up at Westside and Cedric Surratt at Gaffney, or are we talking about maybe a member of the junior class and like Donovan Murph at Irmo?
Well, I think Mr. Football has to be a senior, but I do think I would be shocked based on the guys that are out there if a quarterback doesn't win it this year. And you mentioned Cutter Woods, who is the top quarterback in the state and plays on a state championship team, and you have Finley Polk at Northwestern, you have Will Wilson at Richmond Northeast, you have AJ Brand at Irmo. You have Jaden Cummings at Somerville. I mean, any one of these guys, I can tell you this, all of them will put up big numbers. They'll have the numbers to be worthy of Mr. Football candidacy. And, I think if you took a running back, as the Henderson kid at Belton Honey Pass, probably going to be the top guy. But I more so this year than any other year feel like, and I don't know what a lot goes into it with academics and community service and all that. But man, the quarterbacks, there are some really good quarterbacks in this state this year.
Couple more minutes with David Shelton of the High School Sports Report and the Post and Courier as we talk about the opening of the high school football season for the high school league teams next week. Just looking at some of the matchups next week, I tell you, it's a good way to open the season when you got Spartanburg at South Point, James Island at Gray Collegiate, Burns at Hannah, Spring Valley at Richland Northeast. You talk about your rivalry games. That's another big rivalry game. And I saw where, Christ Church is going to play at Hammond. That's an interesting crossover matchup. And I also saw where Oceanside Collegiate is. I was just looking at some of these charter schools, charter schools who are, now having to play up and play some bigger schools. It's creating some interesting matchups to open the season. So those are some of them, David. It's a good way to open up the season, I think, with some of these matchups, some even matchups. Going to have some great games to open things up next week.
Oh, yeah. I have not taken a full deep dive into the schedule, but those games I do know there's some pretty very interesting matchups. I think one of the ones down in the Low Country that I'll be interested to see, I may end up attending this game, is Berkeley and Ashley Ridge, because we just mentioned 5A in the Low Country, and I think these two teams are on the cusp. So to open up with each other, both of them have really good quarterbacks, underclassmen quarterbacks that can throw the football. Could be a very exciting game, but you're right. That Hammond Christ Church game is going to be a doozy. I mean, Hammond. A lot of people have always said, Hammond could win 2A or 3A in the public school league. Well, Christ Church is moving up to 3A, but they've been a 1A power for many years. So I think that's going to be a really cool matchup. And you mentioned that Spartanburg South Point game is also two teams that a lot of people have a lot of high hopes for. So for them to start the season, we're going to kind of get a good look early.
Yeah, Oceanside plays at Irmo, so that's a 3A moving up to play a 5A. Of course, Oceanside being bumped up under the new rules. How about Southside Christian going to play at Abbeville? That should be an excellent game. We really do have a great lineup of games next week, so looking forward to it. You are headed off where tonight? You're headed off to a jamboree?
Yeah, the Dorchester District Jamboree. It used to only be 4 teams, but they've blown it up to 10. And in fact, Somerville and Irmo are going to play tonight, as I mentioned. And Oceanside is going to, I think, play in Fort Dorchester. So it's jamboree, it's scrimmage. It's not real football, but it's football. And so there'll be some good matchups there. Buford, Ashley Ridge are going to play. So there'll be some good matchups there.
Well, you enjoy. And we will talk to you next week. We'll move you up to 6:15 on Sports Talk as we, I guess maybe not next week. 2 weeks we'll go to 6:15. So we'll talk to you next week to preview everything and then look forward to having you back with us on the scoreboard.
Appreciate it, David.
Take care, guys.
Thank you, David. David Shelton with us here on Sports Talk, covering the preps for us better than anybody, and we'll be right back.
Deep in the heart of racing country lies a track too tough to tame. The perfect setting for the late-season drama of the Southern 500. One last chance to make a playoff push. One last chance to catch regular season racing. One last chance to plan a Labor Day weekend worth bragging about. NASCAR weekend at Darlington Raceway, August 31st and September 1st. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com.
Oh, appliances, we can't live without them, and eventually we have to replace them, but we don't have to pay more for the new ones, not with Carolina Discount Appliances. Do you want to go and shop at a bunch of retail stores and determine which one has the lowest overpriced item? Me neither. That's why my first call is always Carolina Discount Appliances. The philosophy is simple. No retail prices. None. It might have a scratch or a ding, but overall it's new and will cost much less than what you're going to pay anywhere else. So if you need a refrigerator, washer, dryer, stove, range, or microwave, they've got you covered. But for less money. Same brands, same appliances, less money. And Carolina Discount Appliances is the home of the $40 down. Take it home today. No credit needed payment options. Regardless, Sherry has you covered. Call today, 803-770-3008. That's 770-3008. No matter where you're located, same number, same person, Sherry at Carolina Discount Appliances, 803-770-3008. It saved me money. It'll do the same for you.
Great things don't happen all at once. Big dreams take time. And when it comes to saving for college, it's those small steps that make a difference. I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 5-9 college savings plan is designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a storm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Westetler Brown. Helping an aging loved one arrange for their care can be one of the most difficult things you will ever do. Fortunately, you don't have to navigate this maze alone. Lawyer Lisa's knowledgeable life care team can lead you down the right path. Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
The South Carolina Education Lottery has a new rolling jackpot, and trust me, our state hasn't seen anything this big before.
How big? Harbortown Lighthouse big?
Bigger.
Bigger than the Ravenel Bridge?
Even bigger.
Not bigger than Table Rock.
With this new rolling jackpot, Palmetto Cash 5 is officially too big to ignore. Palmetto Cash 5 draws night. Play today. Check if your numbers are winners in the Players Club app or at sceducationlottery.com. Overall odds are 1 in 10. Top prize odds are 1 in 850,668.
It's Friday, Friday. Gotta get down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend, Friday, Friday. Getting down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend.
Sorry about that. Fighting a little post-nasal drip. I got to find a solution to that. I'm just going to go suck on a lemon or something. Well, Chris, you're a man of a voice. What do you do when you have post-nasal drip?
I end up sounding like you, unfortunately. I haven't found a really good cure. I think hot tea is supposed to help, honey and that kind of stuff. But
yeah,
it's just aggravating. In
Very.
our business, it's the worst. I mean, it really is.
And it hits you always at the worst time.
Oh, yeah, there's no question.
When it's time for you to step up to the mic and take over for like when I'm doing the recruiting report, start getting that tickle, and then all of a sudden it turns into a cough, and I'm like, ugh, could not have come at a worse time. Speaking of recruiting, it is time to get to tonight's recruiting report here on Sports Talk, brought to you by our good friends over at Seawells. Met with Cal the other day when I was having a delicious lunch over at Seawells. Wanted me to remind you that they still have some spaces available for parking for Gamecock football. But you better move relatively swiftly and give them a call at 803-771-7385 or email them at seawellscatering@gmail.com. Daily lunch and buffet coming up next week, Tuesday through Friday, unless there's a special event getting in the way. If you've got a special event coming up this fall, a lot of weddings, a lot of parties, a lot of banquets, let Seawells handle all that catering for you. Just check them out online to get all their menu information at SeawellsCateringSC.com, or again, the number 803-771-7385. Clemson last night offered 2026 quarterback Brock Bradley, 6'1", 185, Spain Park High School in Hoover. Last season, he passed for 2,100 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. He completed 65%. He attended a game at Clemson last October. Also holds offers from Wake Forest, Texas A&M, West Virginia, Charlotte, Tulane, Troy, Jacksonville State, ULM, Cincinnati, and others. Clemson already has one quarterback commitment in the class in Tate Reynolds of Arizona. South Carolina offered defensive tackle Kelton Mickell, 6'2", 295, might be Mickle, of Jones Junior College in Mississippi. He had 34 tackles as a freshman last season and is a December grad. He has also landed offers from Miami, Georgia, Houston, Troy, Liberty, and Jackson State. Former Georgia commitment defensive tackle Christian Garrett said in a story on Rivals that Clemson, Georgia Tech, and Tennessee are at the top of his list now as he works on another decision, which will come relatively soon. Clemson, Georgia Tech, and Tennessee. All three have been involved since he decommitted from the Bulldogs earlier this month. He took an official visit to Clemson in May. Observers seem to think Georgia Tech might be his ultimate decision again.
Yeah, lay out the money. Come on, Tech.
Well,
lay out some more money.
$800,000 for an offensive tackle per year. What's a defensive tackle worth to you?
Good question.
At Georgia
It's
Tech.
a really good question.
All right, there you go with the recruiting report brought to you by Seawells, available online on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and on Twitter. Use the hashtag STRecruiting. It's also on X. And we'll be back.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Jason Walker. Donald Trump says he is entitled to personal attacks against Vice President Kamala Harris.
As far as the personal attacks, I'm very angry at her because of what she's done to the country. I'm very angry at her that she'd weaponized the justice system against me and other people. Very angry at her. I think I'm entitled to personal attacks. I don't have a lot of respect for her. A lot of respect for her intelligence, and I think she'll be a terrible president.
Also at townhall.com, in Thailand, 37-year-old Paetong Shinawatra has been sworn in as that country's youngest prime minister in history.
She comes across as quite natural and young and excited by the job, and I think a lot of Thais will like that. But the Shinawatra family are controversial. There are many conservative Thais who don't trust her father, Thaksin Shinawatra. That is the reason, almost certainly, why the court ruled against his previous nominee, former Prime Minister Seta. For somebody who's inexperienced like Paetong Tan, she's got a tough job to do. She's got to watch out for the courts moving against her. She has to hold together a very uneasy coalition, including a lot of conservative parties that still don't like her father. And she has the promise that her party's given to revive an economy in Thailand, which has been stuck with low growth for many, many years now.
BBC correspondent Jonathan Head reporting from Bangkok. A U.S. official says mediators preparing to implement a Gaza ceasefire and hostage swap deal to end the war before a final agreement is set. The official says that proposal currently on the table basically bridges every gap between Israel and Hamas. Mediators have expressed hope for an imminent deal. They say 2 days of talks have wrapped up now in Qatar. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If you're anyone with everyday aches and pains, I've got a question. What are you missing out on? Probably a lot. So let me tell you about Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In about 3 weeks, you'll discover what it's like to feel better. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Madame Giselle sent us a change in your future.
Is it a promotion?
I see a door opening.
Ooh, to a corner office?
There's a creature. Beady eyes, lots of hair.
Is it my boss, Dave?
No, raccoons everywhere. Your RV door is open, and they're chewing everything.
Not a problem. I'm covered by Progressive. Do you say check?
Customize your coverage with Progressive's past damage protection and be prepared for the unexpected. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Past damage protection available for RVs less than 6 years old. $250 deductible applies to any claim.
TikTok pushing back on arguments the popular social media platform is not shielded by the First Amendment.
The U.S. Justice Department had said in a legal brief submitted last month that TikTok's owner, China-based ByteDance, as well as the platform's global and U.S. arms, were not entitled to First Amendment protections. TikTok attorneys argue the platform's U.S. arm doesn't forfeit its constitutional rights because it is owned by a foreign entity. They drew a parallel between TikTok and well-known news outlets such as Politico and Business Insider, which are owned by a German publisher.
That is correspondent Jeremy House reporting. Many in California say it's too little, too late. Governor Gavin Newsom signing a package of 10 bills aiming to crack down on smash-and-grab robberies as well as various property crimes, making it easier to go after repeat shoplifters. Breaking news and analysis, townhall.com.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Some passing clouds tonight to go with a low temperature of 71. Tomorrow, we're mostly sunny early on with a 30% chance of showers later in the evening. The high is 93. Sunday, nice early. Some storms later on could include some serious wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour. We'll have some thunder and lightning to go with it. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. Please press button now. No, number 1.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Okay, we're back on this Friday night. Still to come, Jeff Owens on NASCAR, George Bryan on golf, special guest Zach Adams, USC golfer, and the reigning now state amateur champion. Looking forward to that coming up at the bottom of the hour. Time to get into our camp reports from USC and Clemson. And for the Gamecocks, we're talking about running back Juju McDowell, who had not the kind of year last year he had hoped to have. Had to deal with some injuries late, missed the last 2 games, only had 26 rushing attempts, only caught 11 passes, and only returned 4 kickoffs. He's too fast and too valuable not to be used in a better way than that. And he's hoping to be used more this year in some capacity, even though they've got a crowded running backs room with all the newcomers. Recently, like this week, he spoke with the media, took questions about camp to this point and his own individual performance.
How do you feel? How's the collarbone? Any setbacks in trying to come back from that?
I mean, other than the usual of, rehabbing and having everything get set in order, I've been feeling great, getting prepared for the season up ahead and doing as much as I can to help the team and put myself in the best possible situation to stay healthy. So I've been feeling pretty good.
What can you tell us about how this offense is coming together and what it might look like here in a few weeks?
Popcorn. That's all I can say. Yeah, get it ready.
Yeah, kind of going off that with the offense. How do you feel like the running back room's meshing together right now with all the new guys coming in and the returnees like you?
With the new additions and as well as Coach Black, I feel like it's better than ever. We have superb talent in and out the running back room from bottom to the top of the depth chart, and everybody's interchangeable. Everybody can play any role, any position, and nobody in the room is minds sharing time or doing whatever it takes for the team. Like, we're all team players, and there's some dogs in that room, so we can't wait to unleash what we have.
You've played with a lot of different quarterbacks at South Carolina. What do you notice about Lenore Sellers or anything that makes him unique from all the other ones you've been with?
And not just Lenore's, him and Robbie. Those guys are super electric. And sometimes their flashy play style or their ability to run or be mobile or outside of the pocket, sometimes they might oversee them stepping inside of the pocket, but don't sleep on those guys inside the pocket. They can still stand in the pocket and go deep over your head or, make the correct read and progression and get the ball where it needs to be.
Marquell was saying that there's a lot of running backs in his room. Not all of them can travel. Is there any, anxiety or, extra urgency knowing that, hey, we've got to make sure we get, in the top 3 or top 4 so we can travel every week?
It depends. I like how you worded that question, but not necessarily. I feel like the urgency is always up, especially in this profession. You have no time to be lax. But things like special teams, making a more of an impact to help the team in other areas can enhance your chances of being on the bus, yes.
I guess kind of along those lines of what you just said there with special teams, getting you on the bus for a guy like Maurice Brown, who was on the bus every game last year. What have you seen from him kind of in his progression up until this point in camp?
Oh, he's an animal. Not even just, for real. Not even just on special teams. Like, man, like, if you could just walk out of the locker room with that guy one day, when he hits the field, like, it's a switch. Like, he's out of there. Like, and anybody that stands in front of him, you have a long day. So, but I like his demeanor. He accepted his role last year, wasn't getting as much playing time at the tight end position, embraced his role on special teams, and it's working out.
Juju, what can you tell us about your role this year? How will they be using you? I mean, backup running back, slot receiver, kickoff return. Just what do you think you'll be doing out there the most?
When I get the ball, make a play. When I don't have the ball, make a block.
What's it been like working with Oscar Attaway so far? What have you seen from him, and is he one of those dogs in that room?
Oh yeah, he's definitely a dog. Yeah, it's been great working with him. Another older guy that transferred in, bringing more maturity to the room. I love the way he attacks the game outside of the field. As well as being an older guy, you have to take those extra steps, not only helping yourself, but to pave a way for the younger guys and show them the ropes. And he does a great job of that. He came in from a different program, of course, so the play calling was new. He's adapted, and it's been working great for him, and I can't wait to see us let him go too.
How much time have you spent thinking about this just being your last August here, last time going into a season on this football team?
Every day. Yeah, every day I walk in here, every day I wake up, I say a prayer, get in my car. That's really all I can think about, It's been an amazing 4 years. I got, 5 or so months left, just trying to make the best out of it. I appreciate everything Carolina has brought and gave me. So, it's rare throughout the day that I don't think about the urgency, that I put myself in.
All right, Juju McDowell. Expect that we'll see a lot of things from him this coming season with South Carolina. Now over to Clemson. Of course, the Tigers now starting to turn their attention towards Georgia after having their second big scrimmage on Thursday. It was a situational scrimmage. And Tigers on defense, they look pretty good in most areas. A little bit of concern in that secondary. I still say maybe right in the middle of that defense as a couple of new guys are stepping in. I know they played some before, Peyton Page and DeMonte Capehart, but they're stepping in now as the top dogs. Can they handle that role? I think potentially they can. Behind them, of course, you got Barrett Carter and stepping in as a starter this year after starting 5 games last year will be Wade Woodaz, who's a guy that, just makes plays and knows the defense and never busts an assignment. So he's kind of a steady Eddie out there at the linebacker spot for the Tigers. He talked with the media recently after a practice at Clemson about the progress of the defense in camp and how things have been going for him.
I think it was a really competitive scrimmage overall. Both ways, we were competitive on both sides of the ball. Defensively, I feel like we performed how you would perform in a first scrimmage. There's always work to be done, which is a good thing. And we learned a lot about ourselves and where we need to improve, which is good.
One of the things that Sweeney pointed out is the freshmen got that first game feeling experience. Just did anybody in that freshman class, those newcomers that stand out to you?
Yeah, Ashton Hampton for sure. He's been flashing all camp. He's really good. Sammy Brown, of course. I'd say my little brother has done all right. He's got work to do, but he'll get there eventually. I think they look good so far.
So we need a lot of good things to say also about Ricardo Jones. How has he sort of flashed this offseason?
Ricardo is very passionate. He brings juice to the defense, which it's great. I love the way he plays, physical. So,
for you heading into year 3, just sort of what's on your mind heading into your junior season? Sweeney's talked a lot of praise about just how you've handled yourself this offseason, you carried yourself, and just where do you see yourself within this linebacking group?
I want to step up as a leader, assert myself as a leader on this team, and help push us to what our goals are, which is get back to the top of the mountain. So I would say that's really it for me, mainly. Develop as a leader.
Working with a guy like Sammy Brown, it sort of reminds me of Barrett talking about you when you were a freshman. Just sort of what are the things that you're trying to impart on a young, talented linebacker like him?
A lot of times, young linebackers get caught up in being super fast, but we're all gifted naturally to be really quick. So really slowing the game down for him, because he's one of the fastest dudes on the defense. So slowing the game down, making sure he really knows what his job is, I think will help him perform.
Just what have you seen from the offense in terms of Dado said that when you look at the performance in the first scrimmage last year to now, it's a more comfortable group, a more mature group. What have you seen from Cade and this offense as a whole?
Yeah, I see a lot of maturity from them. I'm really proud of all the work they've put in the offseason. They've really come together. I'm excited to see how they perform this year.
Coach Sweeney kind of said it was like Bear Carter and you, and like kind of the other linebackers kind of like trying to pick up and grow from under you guys. I guess what we see from guys like Kobe, Jamal Anderson under you that kind of gives you confidence in them entering the season.
Yeah, they've definitely grown up a lot. They've helped close the gap, so we have more depth in our backer room now. I'm really proud of them. Growing up this offseason, in the spring, summer, and even now, they're taking good steps every day, getting better.
For you, I think in the spring you said you kind of learning playing Mike. I guess how comfortable are you playing that position now, entering the season?
I've gotten way more comfortable just in camp, making mistakes, obviously, because that's what you learn from. So making a lot of mistakes has really helped me to get more comfortable and know, okay, well, I can't do that again. So just thinking more, changing the way I think on the field as well, thinking more big picture stuff rather than just, okay, what is my responsibility? Think of more, where do I fit in the scheme? Where are our weaknesses? And working off of that.
When you say mistakes, I guess, is it like a mental miscues, a physical miss, like a mistap? I guess, how have you learned from those mistakes?
I would say a lot of mental stuff. I mean, the game is way more mental than it is physical. Obviously, you see all the plays and stuff that are physical, but in order to get there, you gotta use your brain. So making mental errors is where you get better.
All right, Wade Woodaz, his comments, that came after the Clemson scrimmage.
The first one.
The first one, yeah, back early, relatively early in camp. I was going to say, too, you got Barrett Carter, D. Creighton, Woodaz, Kobe McLeod, Sammy Brown. You're going to see a lot of him, Jamal Anderson. Also, point out this, Peyton Page and DeMonte Capehart, the two starting defensive tackles as it stands now, 0 career starts between the two of them. So we'll see if they can step up and handle that role against Georgia and others. Back in a moment.
Football season is upon us, and that means Columbia is welcoming fans from around the corner and across the country. No matter where you're from, Gamecocks love coming together for game day energy that can only be found in South Carolina's capital city. Book hotel rooms, find pre- and post-game activities, and plan your tailgate spread with local favorites from pimento cheese to barbecue at experiencecolumbiasc.com. We'll see you soon, and go Gamecocks!
Relax this summer with a promotional rate on select travel purchases with your Founders Federal Credit Union credit card. Now through August 31st, get 6.99% APR for 6 months on qualifying purchases, including airfare, hotels, restaurants, and cruise lines. Don't let interest rates slow you down this summer. Visit foundersfcu.com/travel. More. Not a Founders member yet? Founders has the financial tools you need and the personalized service you deserve. Stop by an office or visit foundersfcu.com to learn more about Founders and see if you qualify for membership. On March 1st, 2025, the promotional APR will revert to the effective APR as previously disclosed. Call 800-845-1644 for details about credit costs and terms. Membership qualification required.
Calling all turkey hunters, this is Major Billy Downer with the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Turkey season is coming soon. The most common accident while turkey hunting is failing to identify your target. Know the identifying features of a turkey. Make sure of your target and what lies beyond it before you pull the trigger. Remember, safe hunting is accident. For more information on hunter education, visit dnr.sc.gov.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I'm not a case manager. I'm a lawyer for over 35 years. I don't charge 40% for your injury in your wreck case or any on-the-job injury. Call 803-765-2968 and ask for Jim Corbett or email me, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com, for the experience of a lawyer handling your injury case. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968. Jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Put 35 years of experience to work on your injury case.
If you're looking to stay hydrated this summer, turn toward a southern favorite, sweet South Carolina watermelons. One slice is equivalent to a glass of water and is just as effective as sports drinks for hydration. If you don't believe us, you can ask the Palmetto State's top football teams. The SC Watermelon Association will be serving up slices after summer practice to keep our teams fueled and hydrated. Visit scwatermelon.org for all the details and look for ripe South Carolina watermelons in your hometown.
You've put in the work for your education.
The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's have fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
G3 here with Tsunami Bar Sports, and it's time for a fall preview. That's right, 720 Chris Drive, 378 and I-26, Frontage Road, where you can now preview the best technology for golf known to man. It's the Tsunami Bar. It's live weight. It's the only technology out where you get your tempo and flow going before you play. Now, it also serves as a pattern support tool. 720 Chris Drive, Frontage Road, 378 and I-26. You also can visit the Garage Gym Pro Shop. Pick up your tools, take them home, and while you're here, tour the Scramble Course 6-hole pitch and putt right now.
Love it when it's 4 wide, love it when it's fast, love it when the leaders call the pack is moving past, love it when they're making lots and lots of noise, can't wait to hear these doubles say. Boogity, 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 let's go racing, boys! Let's go racing, boys. Love it when they're drafting, love it when they slide, love it when the back's straight, the throttle's open wide, love it when they're making lots and lots of noise, can't wait to hear these doubles say.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys, and let's go wrecking, boys.
Let's pick up speed.
Especially when we get near the finish line. Let's kick in, boys. Let's go punting. Tell you what.
You get sent to the principal's office, you do that.
Austin Dillon, man, he's such a good punter. He could punt in the NFL the way he punted. Joey Logano. We welcome in Jeff Owens in the fast lane. Man, you got a lot to chew on tonight. Where do you want to start?
Whew, wow. It's been a busy week for sure. Yeah, I mean, you got to start with that incident last week and what Austin Dillon did. I mean, he forgot the old adage that rubbing's racing, and he turned it into wrecking and racing. And I mean, that was as blatant as any move I've seen. That was Earnhardt wrecking Labonte at Bristol in '99. I mean, he just flat ran over him to win the race, and unfortunately, he took out another guy to do it as well. And I think NASCAR. You guys know that I don't agree with a whole lot of what NASCAR does, and I've beat them up pretty bad on this show before sometimes. But I think they got this right. I think they had to do what they did, or they were going to turn this into some sort of Wild West free-for-all, and everybody who's desperate to win a race and make the playoffs is going to start doing that.
Yeah.
So I think they had to come down hard. They had to do this, and I think this was the right way to do it, is to take the playoff win away. And the most important part of this is that they set the precedent, and the drivers were begging them to do this. Where's the line? You know, you can use the bump and run, or you can even wreck a guy, but you can't do what Austin Dillon did last week. And I think that's the message and the precedent that NASCAR set, and I think that was the right move. Why
is and I'm trying to remember the correct terminology, the right fender hook, is that what they call it?
Yeah, something like that.
Why is that so taboo in NASCAR?
Well, I think it turns the car at a much more extreme angle, nose first into the wall. That's why you can't do that. Now, you can wind up hitting the wall that way if you hit them on the opposite side as well. But if you hook them on the right side, you're going to turn them nose first right into the wall, and that's dangerous. But the problem NASCAR's got now is they've got to legislate this thing, and now they got to figure out, okay, where's the line? They've laid the line in the sand that you can't cross. But where's the rest of the line leading up to that? You know, can you still move a guy out of the way? You know, we've seen them wreck people before. If you're racing for the win and you accidentally wreck a guy, that's okay, and I agree with that. But now they got a fine line that they got to legislate, and their next move will be critical because people will be watching. So they sort of opened up a can of worms here, but again, I think it had to be done.
in the fast lane with Jeff Owens here tonight on Sports Talk, looking back at the chaos at the end of the race this past weekend in Richmond. And Jeff, this may be a rare occasion that I actually disagree with you, and I'll explain in just a second. But first, do you think part of the problem was he wrecked two drivers? If he just knocks Logano out of the way and still wins the race, are we even talking about this today?
It makes it harder.
Mm-hmm.
It does make it harder, and I don't know. I don't know what they would have done. But the fact that he also hooked Denny, and that was a very dangerous wreck, and Hamlin actually got hurt in that. He hurt his shoulder. I think that made it much worse. So, yeah, I definitely think that was a factor. And then, beyond that, you go and look at the fact that, he kind of hit him square or hit him on the right side, and he was coming from so far. He clearly just didn't lift and just ran right over him. But yeah, that raises an interesting question, but the circumstances around the wreck and the repercussions of it, it's got to be a factor. I'm sure the two most angry people there were Joe Gibbs and Roger Penske, who had wrecked race cars, and not only that, angry sponsors. I'm sure they were in NASCAR. I'm sure they were in the hauler right after the race and in their ear all week long. So there's a lot that goes into this, and it's been interesting. Interesting decision by them, and it's going to be really interesting going forward to see what they will now allow.
And Jeff, the only disagreement I would have with your opinion is because the rule book seems to be somewhat vague, and they have told these drivers that the playoffs are the be-all, end-all, just like every other professional stick and ball sport. You've got to get in the playoffs or you don't matter. Your sponsors have to have you in the playoffs. So you've got Austin Dillon sitting there, and he's saying, there's no other way I can get in. I've got to find a way to win this race, and this is my best opportunity. Taking away the playoff thing, shouldn't they have come out and said, look, if this if this happens again, now we know where the line is. You guys cannot do this. You want to fine him. You want to, take points away and whatever the case may be. But shouldn't they have had something in the rule book that expressly forbid this before they just jump on Austin Dillon and take away a playoff win, or a playoff spot, knowing how important the playoffs are?
Yeah, no, very fair point. Absolutely a fair point. And I agree with you. I think NASCAR has actually got to be held, they got to be responsible for this, because you're right. They created this scenario. The playoffs create this atmosphere, and the desperation that a guy like Austin Dillon, the situation he's in, NASCAR created that. That's one of the flaws with these playoffs and the win to get in scenario. And you're right. There was no rule about this, and you heard the drivers immediately after it happened that NASCAR has got to do something. But Denny Hamlin said there is no rule. It's just a judgment call. And that's the problem with it. I agree with you. They do need to put some sort of rule in the rule book, or at least strengthen the language a little bit. But then even beyond that, it comes down to a judgment call, what's allowed and what's not allowed. But I agree with your point there. They absolutely, in my opinion, created this situation because of the playoff system and the way it's currently set up. And does that mean that needs to be looked at? I don't know. But it's definitely a big factor in this for sure.
Well, 3 races to go in the regular season: Michigan, Daytona, and then Darlington. You talk about payback, which is on everybody's mind. You got to figure they usually avoid the super high speedway tracks for that. So you probably point towards Darlington. And do you think Logano and Hamlin team up to get him? Is this going to be a 2-on-1 situation? Like, okay, you take him high, I take him low.
Payback's a Darlington stripe, Jeff.
But we're going to get him.
Well, I'll tell you that there's not a lot of love lost between Hamlin and Logano either. They've had their incidents before, and really, it was kind of funny watching both of those two guys sit there and rip another guy for wrecking somebody to win a race.
Yeah.
Because they have both done that numerous times. Now, they were much smarter about it, and I don't think they did it the way Austin Dillon did it. But, they can't say that with a straight face either. So, I don't know. I would say they're going to calm down and probably not go after them and retaliate, because NASCAR is going to be watching for that.
Okay, my man. Hey, it's made for some great conversation this week on the NASCAR scene, no doubt about it. We'll look for a great race at Michigan. We thank you, and we'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate it, Jeff.
Okay, guys. Have a good one.
Jeff Owens in the fast lane coming up. George Bryan, birdies, bogeys, and biceps, brought to you by Tsunami Bar Sports.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your forecast. Some passing clouds tonight to go with a low temperature of 71. Tomorrow, we're mostly sunny early on with a 30% chance of showers later in the evening. The high is 93. Sunday, nice early. Some storms later on, though. That could include some serious wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour. We'll have some thunder and lightning to go with it. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today. PalmettoCitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
With SRN News, I'm Jason Walker. 10 U.S. Navy crew members injured during a training incident yesterday involving 2 helicopters in Nevada have now been released from a Reno hospital. Crew members' injuries were said to be not life-threatening. Navy is investigating that incident. Nevada gaming regulators accusing a casino of turning a blind eye to illegal bookmaking. Gaming Control Board says the resort's World Casino approved millions of dollars in credits for people involved in illegal dealings without ensuring they had the assets in order to back it up. In Mississippi, a poultry processing plant has agreed to a settlement with the Labor Department. It requires it to pay $164,000 in fines. It also follows the death of an underage boy at the facility. This is SRN News.
You hear about all these tax credits available for getting solar power for your home or your business, and yeah, they're pretty awesome. But what about your church? Yeah. What about your nonprofits? How can you benefit from tax credits if you don't pay taxes? Well, now there's a great program in place for nonprofits. Think about that. Your church still has a pretty big power bill, right? What about taking control, saving that church money every single month by using solar power from Broker? Installation rebates, tremendous savings. Bet you've never even thought about it. Maybe it's time to talk about it at your church or your nonprofit. Broker Solar has all the answers. Ken and his team know every program, every opportunity for your home, your business, and yes, your nonprofit. So you can save dollars, get rebates, get government credits. Isn't it worth looking into? Online, it's brokersolar.com, or give Ken a call, 807-7417 at Broker Solar. That's 807-7417, and tell them Kev sent you.
Experience the warmth of Oakleaf Village, where our family is dedicated to taking care of yours. With top-tiered assisted living and specialized memory care, we provide a nurturing environment crafted with dedication and love. Our seasoned staff ensures continuity of care, a community that feels like home. Benefit from our robust support groups designed to comfort and assist you every step of the way. Discover more about our community at oakleafvillagelexington.com or contact us at 803-808-3477. Welcome to Oakleaf Village, where caring comes naturally.
Is it time to sit down with All Southern Construction to talk about that big spring project you've been dreaming about? Time for a new and beautiful deck to enjoy that Carolina evenings on? Time for a screen-in porch or a new addition to the home? All Southern Construction is the answer. Why us? Well, we're local, insured. We clean up after our projects. We're professional, we're ethical, and well, we're really good at what we do. Online, it's allsouthernconstruction.com or call us 206-4816, 206-4816.
Think of everything you do to provide for your family. A home, food on the table, healthcare, vacations, and saving for your kids' education. It's all good as long as you're alive, but it's only a drop in the bucket of what they'll need if you die without life insurance. Buying term life insurance is not something you can afford to put off. Call the Term Lifeline now for the lowest possible rates on quality term life insurance. Term life rates are at all-time lows, and we can save you up to 70%. If you already have coverage, you could be paying too much. One call could save you thousands of dollars. We have great rates for smokers, too, or if you have health problems. Providing for today is good, but it's not enough if you die prematurely. Call the Term Lifeline today for a free quote. Protect your family and see if you could save Save up to 70%.
866-549-TERM. 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 That's 866-549-8376.
4. Straight down the middle. It went straight down the middle. Then it started to hook just a wee, wee bit. And that's when my caddy lost sight of it. That little white pellet has never been found to this day. But it went straight down the middle, like they said.
All right, time to talk about the beautiful game of golf here on Sports Talk, where I have to take a moment before we welcome George Bryan and our special guest and congratulate Chris Bergen. He really impressed me, Chris. Congratulations. He went out
thank you.
And played at Camden Country Club yesterday. I wasn't invited. Camden Country Club yesterday, George, he goes out there, beautiful course, as you know, and he shoots a very fine 94. So, ladies and gentlemen, a little golf clap. It's very impressive, George, to go out there and shoot 94. I got to tip my cap to the boy. I thought I was the bad boy of golf on this show. Maybe not.
I'll tell you what, Camden Country Club, that's in my top 5 favorites of all golf courses.
Mm-hmm.
And
George, it was in as good a shape as any golf course I've played. The fairways were almost pristine to the point you could have putted on them. I mean, it was incredible.
All right, so men, who is the architect there? And, oh, by the way, this pop quiz is brought to you by Randolph, who is in Margaritaville as we speak. He's listening via internet. And so
mentally,
who
is he physically in Margaritaville or mentally in Margaritaville?
I'm not telling.
Okay.
In fact, I really don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, he listened over the internet.
Okay.
And that's amazing too. That's amazing. But who was the architect of the beautiful golf course you played, Bergen?
Is it Donald Ross?
Oh, ding, 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 ding. Take a shot, Randolph. You just, hey, that'll be it. A round of golf for Phil and I at either, let's see, the golf course of our choice. So there you have it. And, hey, that is such a, let me tell you, I think we got a Gamecock on the line, but Matt McCarley is the head professional there. I call him Panama Jack. And he is just about, well, he's one of the biggest reasons that middle child of mine and ours, my wife and I, got a chance to play on the PGA Tour. Matt McCarley is absolutely he's tied for first with the best wedge player I ever got a chance to watch live and in person and talk to. Mark Steelman, former college of Charleston All-American, and actually he's in the Hall of Fame down there. He and Mark Steelman tied for first with the best I've ever seen with a wedge. And affectionately, we call Matt McCarley Panama Jack. And he's a Gamecock who did a great job at the University of South Carolina on the golf team. And we've got another USC golfer who will join us soon. I gave you, I don't know, sorry about that, Josh. I gave you the wrong Zach Adams phone number. I'm dyslexic. Processing. I'm learning disabled, man.
All right.
That's been all my life.
Well, hang on. We're going to bring him on in just a second. Let me do what we do, which is update round 2 of the playoffs, FedEx St. Jude Championship, Memphis, Tennessee. Denny McCarthy, Hideki Matsuyama, they're at 11 under, 63-64 respectively. Sam Burns is at 10 under. Scotty Scheffler, a 65. He's 9 under. Justin Rose, a 66. He's 8 under. Nick Dunlap, a 65. He's 8 under. Your 7 unders are Victor Hovland, Robert McIntyre, and Billy Horschel. Top of the leaderboard, then a couple of others to keep an eye on, that we keep an eye on. That would include Justin Thomas, 3 under, and Rory McIlroy slipped today to a 73, +1. And Jordan Spieth fell apart to a 75, and he's at +3. So this is it's a no-cut thing, of course, the playoffs, 70 golfers. I think the top 50 advance, and then the top 30 advance to the championship. Okay, now, George, we will allow you to welcome in and play through with our special guest. It's not very often outside of the Bryan family. It's not very often that we have South Carolina golf royalty on our show, so it's a special moment here for Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps to welcome in our guest, George.
It's indeed, and he is the 2024 state amateur champion, and he just recently polished off a wonderful, made it to the round of 32 at the U.S. Amateur, the 2024 U.S. Amateur, and I want to go ahead and just bring him right on. Let's tee it up. This is Zach Adams. Good evening, Zach. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, sir. How are y'all?
I'm better not observe. That's a fact.
I love it.
Zach, watched you grow up. In fact, my daughter lost and played plenty of short game matches with you around, I think, a golf course you just won a golf tournament on. So I've watched you grow up.
Yeah,
short game is your specialty. So talk to us a little bit, Zach. Bring us up to speed. Tell us about yourself.
Well, I like you just said, just won the South Carolina Amateur, had a good showing at the USAM, and flew back last night. And now I'm ready to get the college season started with the guys. We have a new coach this year, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
So you are heading into what year at the University of South Carolina?
Heading into my junior year.
And so take us back a little bit. You played your junior golf. Where did you grow up? What golf courses did you play here in the Palmetto State?
I grew up, I learned the game at the Country Club of Charleston. That's where I played from when I was 11 on, and before that I was at Rock Hill Country Club. And grew up playing at Rock Hill, grew up playing with and Charleston. Grew up playing with Willis Rogers, who played at Winthrop, and Drayton Stewart, who played at Clemson. So I was always around good talent growing up, good competition, and through junior golf, and then got recruited to come play at South Carolina. And just I've always loved the game, and it's awesome to be able to just to be able to talk to you guys about my success and my upbringing.
Hey, one of these things, I got a chance to, I've known your dad for a long time, and it was a lot of fun. College of Charleston, I had the privilege to play. We crossed paths, but I walked a lot of golf with your dad. And one of the favorite things that I like about golf is we can all together play as a family. So you and your dad still play some golf together, Zach?
Oh yeah. We're pretty close. We play every time I get home. We try to get out. He was injured and couldn't play much for the last year or two, but he's starting to get back into it. And he can't beat me anymore, but we still have a lot of fun. We create a lot of games.
Well, I tell you, he is a tremendous supporter of all golf, and the College of Charleston, I sure hope he's continuing that support. He was at most of the events, and it was fun watching you tag along. I saw you spend a lot of time watching you come along. I was so impressed with your interest in the short game. Talk a little bit about your game, and you still have that magic around the greens.
I do, yeah. I don't know where it all began with the short game. I guess my dad kind of taught me the game from like the green on, and I've always just like sitting on the chipping green when I was little and just seeing how many I could chip in. He'd give me a quarter for every chip in. So I just found it very fun and just hitting all these different shots, and then had evolved to a couple years ago. I was trying to gain a lot of distance, and I kind of lost the short game a little bit, and now it's coming back. So I just like having fun with it and getting creative and just adding new shots every other week.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that state am first. Playing at home, contrary to popular belief, in golf is extraordinarily difficult. Now, unlike some of the other sports, football, baseball, basketball, soccer, there's home field advantage, and typically the records are real strong in favor of the home team. Golf, not so much. In fact, I found it incredibly difficult to play at home. And obviously, you kind of figured that out. Why don't you talk a little bit about your perspective on it? Because you certainly did.
Yeah, well, I grew up playing in the Azalea, the Junior Azalea, which is a junior tournament out there at the club. And I've kind of learned how to deal with the pressure, I guess, hometown kid and whatnot. And I just learned how to play the golf course, not in a different way, but just learning how to play it the same way in tournament as I do every day. And I guess just this past week, I said, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to play every single hole like I would if I was playing in a money match. So I went and did that and just ended up making a lot of birdies.
There you go. So the
Hey, can I ask Zach a real quick question? Following up on the South Carolina AM?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So on the AM website, SCGA, got you down here with $1,000 purse take home. I'm just in today's world, NIL, and I mean in the past that'd be taboo by the NCAA. You get to keep that money?
It's you get pro shop credit for it.
Oh.
So,
okay.
I had $1,000 to spend in pro shop.
Okay. Well, what'd you get? What was?
You get a new pitching wedge for that.
Yeah, I'm serious.
I hadn't spent any of it yet. So I think my parents might have bought themselves a couple shirts or something. I told them to give them some stuff. So
That's great. That's great. I'm sorry, George. Go ahead.
No, I've since this segment's still sponsored by Randolph and Margaritaville, and this is another. Get your pencil and your pop quiz out. Who is the golf course designer? And Zach, you cannot answer this. The only eligible ones at this point that can answer would be the ones on the radio show. But who is the architect for the Country Club of Charleston? You got less than 3 seconds. Or text the answer to Phil at scradio.com.
That's not going to get to me. But it's somebody. Isn't it? I don't know this now. It's not. It wasn't. I mean, I kind of know it, but I don't. It's not one of the. Well, I don't want to take away anything from the gentleman, but it's not like you're a Donald Ross or the more popular names that you hear. Right? This was somebody like a Richard something. Is it a Richard something?
Go ahead, Zach.
Seth Rayner.
And amazing.
Who was that,
Zach,
George? Say that again.
Go ahead, Zach.
Seth Rayner.
Oh, nope, I'd have never gotten that.
So one of the things that is intriguing, the better players study details in the game, and studying architecture ties in with creating strategy, game plans, and then even building your golf game. And one of the things that Rock Hill Country Club has some characteristics. Zach, who designed Rock Hill Country Club?
I honestly could not tell you.
Well, hey, Zach, guess what? I don't have the answer to that. So text that would be Phil at scradio.com.
Yeah.
Just text the answer to him on that. But no, Rock Hill's got some interesting. It's got some holes that definitely remind me of the Rayner or McKenzie or Ross.
A.W. Tillinghast and Chris Spence.
How about that? That's really quick.
Well,
wow.
Google. I mean, everything's on Google.
Hey, so Zach, talk a little bit about the characteristics of a Seth Rayner or Tillinghast or even a McAllister or Donald Ross.
Well, a Seth Rayner, I've played a couple of them, or a lot of them over the years. the big similarity I find in them is they have big greens and wide fairways and thick rough. And so some of them are long. The Country Club of Charleston is not very long, but some of them are pretty long. You have to keep it in the fairway, and if you hit it in the rough, it's going to be hard to keep it on the green, but you can also run everything up to the green. There's usually no bunkers up in front of the greens. So you can run it up. It plays well for every game. If you can't really hit it that high, you can still get around, of course, on like Seth Rayner golf course, which is very different from a Donald Ross. Donald Ross courses have very tabletop greens, and those are require precision into the greens. So, yeah.
Hey, I just got a text from your dad. He's listening. Imagine that, Zach. Hello there, Randy. Appreciate you tuning in, and he helped us out. Tillinghast designed the front nine at Rock Hill, and so he's one of the greatest. And the old architects got it right. The ones that. So that's what's really cool is these older architects just had great ideas. Now, when you go out, Zach, and we're going to shift gears. The USAM was played. Fill in the blank. 2024 USAM was played in Minnesota at.
This for me?
Yes, sir.
Hazeltine.
Hazeltine, and who designed Hazeltine?
I never looked it up. I never looked.
Goodness gracious! Hey, that will be Googled, and I'm sure your dad will send you the answer. Course management. Walk us through what was going on your home course advantage at the State Am, just a little bit there, and then
Robert Trent Jones.
Great architect, huh? So, yeah. Go ahead, take it away, Zach. Talk to us about your strategy there with the State Am.
The strategy at the State Am was just bomb and gouge. Basically, I was hitting the driver so well, and the wind was helping me out on a few holes. It was in a good direction for number 7. It made it drivable. It made 13 drivable. So I could get it up around those greens if I hit good drives, and that's what I did. So I just tried to get as close to the green as possible, and my short game's good enough to where I could hit it close to any pin. So out there, I was just playing aggressive as possible, and they had some pin locations that you couldn't really go at, but I knew which angles I wanted into those. So I don't think I hit one. I think I hit one iron off the tee all week.
Let me remind everybody, George, that Zach shot 64, 64, 72. You're taking it easy on people, and then a 68 to wrap it up. What's your best round ever on that course?
60. I shot the course record there over this last winter break.
Nice.
Well, you continued that play, right? Where'd you end up? To walk us through the USAM qualifier. Start us out with, not qualifier, but the USAM starting with the qualifier.
Well, I qualified through winning the State Am. So that was a quick turnaround. But you mean like the stroke play qualifying part of it?
Yeah. Then keep going. That, by the way, that's a new one on me. The State Am champions did not, the last time I checked, did get into the U.S. Amateurs. That's a fact. So that's an update, and I think a great update.
There was a good bit of players like State Am champions who made it to match play this year. So it was cool to see.
Beautiful. Who were the other players that represented the Palmetto State besides yourself, Zach?
Todd White, obviously. Jack Wheeler, Max Green, and Jock Wilson.
Beautiful. So you obviously, I was looking at the scores. You played. Walk us through the qualifier and then how the match play went for you.
So the qualifier, my first round was at the Chaska Town course. That one was where you needed to shoot a good round to put yourself in, or for me to put myself in position to kind of just cruise around Hazeltine. But I got out hot the first round. I was 3 under through 10, and I brought it back. I think I got it back to even, and then I birdied 2 out of my last 3 to shoot 2 under. And I knew I had to shoot somewhere between 70 to 75 at or 74 at Hazeltine to have a chance at match play. And I got off to a good start. I shot 1 under on the back there, which is the harder 9. So I felt really good about that. And then 2 over on the front side. I started on the back, 2 over on the front side. And it was kind of a stressful afternoon. It was on the cut line, and then I think it got windy. So I got moved up and was easily in the match play.
Nice. And then talk about the match play.
My first match was against Cole Starnes. He plays at Indiana. I think he's either rising sophomore or junior. I was down in that match early, 2 down through 8, or 2 down through 7 or 7, 8. And birdied 9. He conceded 10. I had it like close for birdie. Made a 40-footer for birdie on 11. And then I hit it to 6 feet on the 13th hole, which is a 240-yard par 3. And he conceded that one after he hit it in the water. So I was 2 up, and then he won the next 2 holes. And so we were all square with 3 to go. And then I had it 30 feet for par, and he had hit it in the water. So that was an easy win on the 16th. And then he was in for bogey, and I 2-putted from 30 feet or so to win the match on 17.
Nice. And next match?
Next match, I was down early as well, and then I got hot kind of around the turn. I got it back to 1 down through 10 after being 3 down through 8. And then missed a 4-foot putt for birdie to win the hole on the 11th. And then the kid I played got it up and down from everywhere. So he made par on that 240-yard par 3. I made bogey. And then he made birdie on the par 5 hole, 15th, to go 3 up. So I was dormy with 3 to go. And then I won with a par on 16. And then we tied with a bogey on 17. So,
well, Zach, this is Phil shooting me that countdown, and I wonder if you join us maybe next week or the following, if it fits in your schedule, to talk a little bit and preview some Gamecock golf. Would you consider that?
Yes, sir. I'd be happy to. Yes, sir.
And so you'll be heading into your junior year, and
if you do that, George says you can come out to Salina and go through his golf shop and take whatever you want.
I like that idea.
He's definitely invited to come out to Salina, and we'll talk about the other part of that. Thank you so much, Phil. And hey, Zach, it's wonderful. Thank you for joining us, and please tell your daddy he's actually listening. Randy, I miss you. Look forward to our next walk. And Zach, every time he invites you to play, just do it. Say yes. And I look forward to getting with you and having you next week on the show to talk more about college golf and Gamecock golf, and you can brag about your teammates and your upcoming season. How about that?
Yes, sir. It sounds like a plan.
Thank you, Zach.
Well, thank you, Zach.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And so Phil, there you have it. I do look forward to the college golf season upcoming. There's some things that, I'm going to do a little better this year. This is a long season. You know, they start in August or technically September. They go all the way through June. Got both semesters, so always a lot of fun. You nailed a quiz, and so there you have it. Randolph, Margaritaville, everybody aced the pop quiz. And until next week. This segment, by the way, brought to you by Tsunami Bar Sports, where no longer do you have to go through pain to get a gain. Taking care of yourself. TsunamiBarSports.com. Triple B5 gets you 5% off. And I hear that music. Until next week, see them high, but shoot them low.
Thank you, George. Thank you, Mr. Bergen. You have a great weekend.
Sure. You do the same. Enjoy it,
Josh,
guys.
thank you, Josh. You have a great weekend. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday night from Erskine.